Space Marines are legendary and iconic characters in the Warhammer 40k universe, and they play a crucial role in most of the universe's major battles because they are the foremost fighting force and defenders of the Imperium of Man. Space Marines are divided into various chapters, i.e. autonomous military groupings made up of about 1,000 superhuman units. Each chapter has its unique history, characteristics, and abilities. Some of them are more powerful than the others based on military prowess, genetics, and a whole host of other factors. In this marvelous video, we discuss what we think are the 25 most powerful Space Marine chapters among more than 1,000 that theoretically exist. Happy watching! But quickly, before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Black Templars. This is a very interesting and powerful chapter whose origins can be traced back to the legendary founding chapter of Imperial Fists. Black Templars are special among Space Marine chapters in that they do not follow the Codex Astartes, which is a common doctrine that a major number of Space Marine chapters adhere to with respect to their size and organization. This is why there are a significantly higher number of Black Templars than the usual limit of 1,000. Black Templars are also known for their particularly zealous loyalty to the Emperor of Mankind, considering him a literally divine figure. The primary mission of Black Templars is to spread the truth and light of the Emperor to the distant, unconquered worlds of the universe. This chapter operates more as a crusading one, incessantly on the move from one conflict to another in their vast fleet of starships, while lacking a homeworld like most other chapters. Black Templars have also been on the longest Imperial crusade, i.e. a large-scale military war and campaign, in the history of the Imperium of Man. This has been ongoing for 10,000 years. Black Templars may be considered one of the most powerful Space Marine chapters for a variety of reasons. Their tenacity, zeal, and sheer numbers make them a formidable and sometimes overwhelming force of nature. Their unique organization and powerful leadership also play a critical role in establishing them as a top-tier Space Marine chapter. Dark Angels. Dark Angels are a very secretive and extremely powerful Space Marine chapter who were the first of the 20 original Space Marine legions to be created. It is to be strikingly noted that although Dark Angels now pledge complete and unquestioned allegiance and service to the Emperor, during the timeline and events of the infamous Horus Heresy, a significant number of Dark Angels had turned on the Emperor, and they managed to ultimately escape and disappear before they could be fully brought to proper justice. These people are collectively referred to as the Fallen, and one of the primary missions of the Dark Angels since that time has been to secretly chase and hunt down these rogue ex-Dark Angels throughout the universe. To sum up, the Dark Angels' ultimate legacy is quite strong, right from their status as the first legion to be created to the very potent gene seed and legacy of its legendary and mighty Primarch, Lion L. Johnson. Their specialized military units and formations, as well as their massive mobile fortress monastery homeworld stronghold, are also major factors that contribute to their popularity and overall status among all the Space Marine chapters. Blood Angels. Blood Angels are infamous across the Milky Way galaxy for their ruthless and bloodthirsty nature in combat. They also possess a cursed and flawed gene seed and are among the longest living Space Marines, with some individuals having lived and served the Emperor for over 1,000 years. During the infamous conflict of the Horus Heresy, Blood Angels fought for and served the Emperor valiantly. However, as a direct result of the conflict, the beloved Primarch of the Blood Angels, Sanguine, was killed at the hands of the traitorous Horus himself. This deeply affected the Blood Angels as a whole, thereby genetically inducing and triggering psychological pain and a generalized psychotic frenzy in every single Blood Angel called Black Rage, under the spell of which one will kill anything in range and cannot distinguish friend from foe. Overall, Blood Angels are usually quite specialized yet versatile units with excellent genetic heritage, fueled by their desire to protect the Imperium as well as satisfy their genetic compulsions, which, although a curse, can translate to bonuses in fighting ability. Space Wolves. Space Wolves, guided by their ultra-famous Primarch, Leman Russ, are known to deviate very heavily from the Codex Astartes and are known to revel in their savage barbarian culture, which is anti-authoritarian at its very core. Their homeworld is a harsh and unforgiving place filled with monstrous creatures. Space Wolves are famous for their signature ferocity in combat, as well as an effortless sense of teamwork, much like the packwork of real wolves in nature. They also possess many unique units as well as heroic characters. Their team tactics also lend them specific advantages in all types of combat. Space Wolves maintain one of the largest fleets of all chapters and are feared for their intuitiveness in everything related to combat, very much like the innate sense of wolves in how to hunt. This, along with their organization as well as heroics, has led Space Wolves to be considered among the most powerful of Space Marine chapters. Grey Knights. Grey Knights are a secretive and mysterious chapter of Space Marines who have the specialized job of fighting the dangerous demonic entities of the Warp, which is an alternate dimension of pure psychic energy and home to the uber-powerful Chaos Gods and their near-infinite varieties of demonic servants. The origin of Grey Knights dates back to the Emperor creating them during the timeline of the infamous Horus Heresy, in order to serve as the Imperium's defense against the threat of malevolent forces and entities that make up chaos. The existence of Grey Knights is a closely guarded secret within the Imperium. Each of them is a potential psyker, implying that they possess psychic power and abilities. One defining characteristic of Grey Knights is that they are seemingly incorruptible and have never fallen prey to the corruption and temptations of the chaos. Grey Knights possess the most technologically advanced weaponry, as well as having access to alien technology through various pacts made with Xenos races. They also have powerful weapons in use. Their most distinctive weapon is the Nemesis Force weapon that is a huge deterrent for demonic forces. Thus, although Grey Knights might be secretive, mysterious, and fewer in number, they possess solid psychic powers, anti-chaos specializations, and advanced weapons that establish them as a respectable Space Marine chapter.
The Codex Astartes does not support this action.
Try to keep up.
The Ultramarines. The Ultramarines make up the singular chapter that is considered to be possibly the strongest and most decorated among all the Space Marine chapters in the entire Imperium, especially after their near single-handed efforts in keeping the Imperium together during the critical 10,000 years that followed the Horus Heresy. The Primarch of the Ultramarines, Robute Guilliman, is the celebrated author of the Codex Astartes, and the Ultramarines as a whole are known for their strict adherence to that code, while also having the external cultural resemblance to that of the ancient Roman Empire. Some of the most iconic, heroic, and powerful characters in the Warhammer universe happen to be Ultramarines. This ranges from the strategic stalwart Robute Guilliman to the chief librarian Tigurius, who is definitely among the most powerful psykers in the Imperium. Another iconic Ultramarine character, among many, is Cassius, the spiritual leader and veteran of the Tyrannic Wars. Then there is the famed chapter master Marnius Augustus Calgar, and the list goes on and on. The gene seed of the Ultramarines is extremely stable and immune to mutation, making them the purest of all Space Marines. Their realm of Ultramar is like a mini empire within the much larger Imperium and is a stable base of operations with vast resources. Even in the tabletop game, Ultramarines are considered a great choice because of their wide range and versatility of units, as well as their overall balance. The symbolic importance of the Ultramarines cannot be understated, and they are often used in all varieties of promotional materials and media to represent not just Space Marines, but sometimes the Warhammer universe and game as a whole. All these critical factors make the Ultramarines among the absolutely most powerful chapters in the entire Warhammer universe. Salamanders. Salamanders hail from a hostile volcanic death world and of all Space Marines are the most concerned with civilian problems. Salamanders think one of their most important duties is to protect the lives of the Emperor's innocent subjects as much as possible. Their Primarch, Vulcan, is a very interesting character who was not only extremely powerful and resilient, but also particularly compassionate towards the civilian population of the Imperium. These characteristics of Vulcan are deeply ingrained in Salamander philosophy and behavior. They place a high value on human life, and that core belief sets them apart from other Space Marine chapters. To sum up, their exceptional durability, resilience, and compassion are perhaps the enduring legacy of Salamanders. From a combat perspective, their mastery of Melta and flame-based weapons make them a unique and devastating force on the battlefield, as does their singular ability to withstand continuous physical punishment that would kill other Marines. Imperial Fists. Imperial Fists are one of the first founding chapters of Space Marines, known not only for being among the most valiant chapters as well as an absolute expert at siege warfare, but also for their close ties to the Emperor himself. Part of the Imperial Fists' duties during the Great Crusade was to function as personal bodyguards for the Emperor, accompanying him wherever he went. Imperial Fists are siege warfare specialists and known for their resilient defense of various fortifications, as well as their counter-siege tactics to infiltrate the enemy's stronghold. Their Primarch, Rogel Dorn, was famously unyielding and considered one of the greatest heroes in the history of the Imperium of Man. Imperial Fists overall have played a crucial role in the Imperium's most notable skirmishes, and they continue to be extreme defenders of the Imperium, most often serving right at the front lines of combat. Various famous successor chapters like Crimson Fists and Black Templars have developed from none other than the Imperial Fists. Their lack of a home planet allows them to be a force of rapid response. It is thus but natural for all these reasons to consider Imperial Fists to be among the most powerful chapters out there. Raven Guard. Raven Guard are considered masters of stealth, precision, subterfuge, and guerrilla warfare. They prefer to strike from the shadows, using the element of speed and surprise. Raven Guard are known for their use of irregular strategies, including sabotage and assassination, preferring to minimize collateral damage. Raven Guard have played a crucial role in some of the Imperium's most important campaigns, like the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy. The drop site massacre of Istvan V was a major turning point in Raven Guard's history because they were betrayed and almost completely wiped out in numbers. Though severely decimated, Raven Guard has successfully risen from the ashes of betrayal and defeat, and continues to serve the Imperium as masters of unseen war, stalking enemies for years before waiting for the perfect moment to deliver the killing blow. Raven Guard do not venerate the Emperor quite like other chapters, instead looking more at their Primarch, Corvus Corax, for guidance. Thus, Raven Guard, while not as powerful as before, is still a well-differentiated chapter using unconventional and curious tactics, such that we can consider them at least among the top chapters in the Imperium. Crimson Fists. Crimson Fists was formed during the second founding when Imperial Fists Primarch, Rogel Dorn, reluctantly complied with the Codex Astartes and broke up his legion, leading to the formation of Crimson Fists alongside other notable chapters. A catastrophic mishap involving their own defensive missile system nearly wiped out the entire chapter and put them on the edge of extinction, leaving only a handful of Space Marines of this chapter in existence. Despite this, Crimson Fists displayed extreme resilience and stoicism, with the refusal to admit defeat at any cost. They are elite warriors, being able to compete with the best of Space Marines from other chapters while being particularly effective at encountering orc invasions and generalized Xenos threats. The chapter master of the Crimson Fists, Pedro Cantor, is a heroic figure who fought bravely to bring about victory in the face of great tragedy. His legendary sense of honor has often left him torn between what is morally right and tactically sound. He's faced with the monumental task of rebuilding this chapter. To summarize, supreme tactical ability and resourcefulness, despite overwhelming odds, and despite being outnumbered or outmaneuvered, is what the legacy of Crimson Fists is. This stoic defense, no matter the odds, along with their access to specialized relics and war gear, is what elevates the Crimson Fists to be wonderful Space Marines. White Scars. White Scars are masters of rapid assault tactics and hit-and-run warfare. Their Primarch, Jaghati Khan, united the warring tribes of Chogoris before the Great Crusade began. During the Horus Heresy, White Scars remained loyal to the Emperor, despite efforts to sway them, and they played a key defensive role in protecting the Emperor's palace during the Siege of Terra. White Scars are highly mobile in combat, favoring lightning strikes and hit-and-run attacks, expressed especially through their love of bikes, land speeders, and jet bikes. They have a very strong cultural identity emerging from the steppes of their homeworld, and this contributes to the cohesiveness of the White Scars chapter as a whole. Their Primarch, Jaghati Khan, has since disappeared, but is still believed by some to be alive. White Scars also have a strong tradition of producing librarians in their ranks, who are not only powerful psychers, but oftentimes great spiritual leaders. Thus, overall, the strengths of White Scars, despite their recklessness at times, and their strong cultural identity, make them one of the most formidable chapters in the entire lot. Iron Hands. Iron Hands believe that the human flesh is weak and easily corruptible, which is why they strive to replace their organic bodies with bionic substitutes. Iron Hands were led by their Primarch, Ferrus Manus, who was renowned for his physical strength and ability to withstand injury. He had living metal hands, which was the inspiration for their bionic augmentation practices. Iron Hands are also known for their stern demeanor as well as unforgiving nature. Their iron will and brutal discipline, developed from being born in a harsh and unforgiving homeworld such as Medusa, makes them stand out even among other Space Marines. Their organizational structure, being divided into self-contained chapter-like clan companies, is also quite different from the norm. To sum it all up, their militarily advantageous bionic augmentations, use of heavily armored vehicles in combat relying on brutal discipline mixed with stoicism, as well as their special relationship with the Adeptus Mechanicus, make Iron Hands a standout chapter among Space Marines. Carcharodons Astra. Carcharodons are of unknown origin, although they are suspected to be a successor chapter of the Raven Guard. They are also very likely related to space sharks, as even the name Carcharodons Astra suggests, which literally translates to space shark in Low Gothic. They are a fleet-based chapter with no known homeworld. Carcharodons tend to operate on the very fringes of the Imperium and unexpectedly lend their hands in combat before disappearing again into the void. Their ruthless tactics, as well as use of chain axes and chainswords, have become signature styles of this chapter. Carcharodons. Their origins and operations have remained shrouded in mystery for centuries, with this enigma growing with each unexpected strike that the Carcharodons perform. It is said that their very name is synonymous with the cold and dark depths of the void. One interesting feature of Carcharodons is that they are known to harvest recruits from the worlds they have conquered, ensuring a constant stream of elite soldiers. Whether or not they have a powerful gene seed at their disposal is unknown. Overall, their mysterious layers of existence, as well as capacity to suddenly launch a brutal and devastating attack, constitute hallmarks of their existence and efficacy in the Warhammer universe. Howling Griffins. Howling Griffins were formed from the gene seed of the Ultramarines. They will go to whatever length is necessary in order to complete an oath that they have undertaken. Oaths are never forgotten, even if centuries pass in between. Howling Griffins adhere strictly to the Codex Astartes and are extremely disciplined and tactically proficient. They are known for their distinctive red and yellow heraldry, and each Howling Griffin bears his own personal heraldry on his armor in addition to the color of the chapter. Howling Griffins, at their core, consider themselves the defenders of the Imperium and an instrument of the Divine Emperor's purpose. They have participated in many notable conflicts, such as the Badab War, the 13th Black Crusade, as well as the Plague Wars and Indomitus Crusade. In totality, their gene seed is one of the most stable and pure, giving them incredible physical and psychological abilities. Their commitment to an oath is unparalleled in the universe. They are staunch defenders of the Imperium and continue to be at the forefront of campaigns and battles. Their level of activity and heroism of individuals such as Dreadnought Titus increase the morale and courage of the overall army of Space Marines, whatever be the chapters involved. Ultimately, the sheer strength and tenacity of the Howling Griffins make them a significant chapter among Space Marines. Angels Sanguine. Angels Sanguine are the successor chapter of the Blood Angels, and have been instrumental in many victories against Chaos forces emerging from the largest warp rift in the Milky Way galaxy, the Eye of Terror. Angels Sanguine have vanquished enemies that range from orcs to Chaos Space Marines, and have on most occasions come out on top. Despite these accomplishments, Angels Sanguine are quite controversial because of their strange habits, foremost among which is that they shield their faces. They are very secretive and their practices are quite insular, strangely having a large number of librarians in their ranks. What goes on in their fortress monastery homeworld is also a mystery to others in the Imperium. Angels Sanguine have participated significantly in several campaigns, such as the devastation of Baal, the 13th Black Crusade, and so on. This chapter is particularly strong at aggressive assault tactics as well as melee combat. Their Primarch, Sanguinius, was killed by Horus while trying to defend the Emperor in the climactic moments of the Horus Heresy. To sum up, the incredible lineage of the Angels Sanguine through the Blood Angels, as well as their incredible power in defeating several types of chaotic forces, all combined with the mystery and intrigue surrounding them, make Angels Sanguine a very powerful chapter among the Space Marines. Celestial Lions. Celestial Lions are a successor chapter created from the gene stock of the Primarch of Imperial Fists, Rogel Dorn. They have always had fierce pride and very strict moral principles, factors which led them to near extinction as a chapter. Celestial Lions are perhaps best known for their ill-fated involvement in the Qatar insurrection and the Third War for Armageddon, after which the Celestial Alliance questioned the actions of the Inquisition, an organization that acts as the secret police force of the Imperium. This led to a long-drawn conflict resulting in the Celestial Alliance being nearly wiped out. The surviving members of the Celestial Alliance, thanks to the involvement of Black Templars, have been rebuilding the chapter. They are not the most powerful chapter in terms of resources or power, but their unwavering moral compass, dedication to serving the Emperor, perseverance in the midst of adversity, and struggle for truth and justice make up the hallmarks of their powerful character and thus chapter as a whole. Aurora Chapter. They are a successor chapter of the legendary Ultramarines and are mainly known for their expertise in armored mobile warfare, using different varieties of tanks such as Land Raiders and Predators. Aurorans operate roughly 5 times as many armored vehicles as a standard chapter. Their notable campaigns include the Yukari Insurrection, the Second Siege of Chthoniya, and the Zeist campaign, among a host of others. During the Yukari Insurrection, the Aurora Chapter and the Emperor's Spears Chapter came into conflict, and this led to a probable breakdown of relations, as they have not been seen working together since. They are strict followers of the Codex Astartes and operate largely in the Ultima Segmentum as the go-to entity for executing an armored assault. Overall, the legendary Ultramarine lineage of the Aurora Chapter, along with their mastery of armored mobile combat all across the Ultima Segmentum, has earned them respect and fear among their many adversaries. Deathwatch. Deathwatch is a unique sort of chapter made up solely of veteran Space Marines, who are basically elite Space Marines with a huge amount of experience. Deathwatch exists to serve the Imperial Inquisition. The core task of the Deathwatch is to stand guard against Xenos, races, and other evils that threaten the Imperium. Deathwatch is not a true chapter, it is rather a collection of veteran Space Marines drawn from different chapters that already exist based on the need of the hour. Deathwatch is equipped with some of the most advanced weaponry and armor available to the entire Imperium. They are also equipped with extensive knowledge about various Xenos species and their specific weaknesses. Deathwatch is also equipped with unique assets like specialized ammunition or teleportation technology, things that are otherwise unavailable to other chapters. Their notable campaigns include War of the Beast, Gosar Quintus Anomaly, the Second Battle of Damnos, Ultimaris Decree, and many others where Deathwatch has fought and resolved the situation. Their elite selection process, premium strength and tactical ability, advanced weapons and armor, as well as unique perks, all of these factors combined propel Deathwatch to being a top-tier Space Marine chapter. Astral Knights. Astral Knights were a successor chapter of Imperial Fists and were famous for their dedication and resilience. They would frequently take part in duels of honor. Astral Knights sacrificed their entire chapter in order to prevent the use of a planet-sized Necron weapon called the World Engine, which was capable of scorching entire planets of all of the life on their surface. Whatever was left of the chapter was not enough to restore it back to life, and thus, the Astral Knights were struck from the roster of active Space Marines and replaced by the Sable Swords, who had already taken control of their fortress monastery on the world of Obsidia. Although they technically don't exist anymore, their unwavering resolve and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds will always be remembered in the annals of Imperial heroism. Astral Knights will always remain one of the most powerful, respected, and formidable Space Marine chapters there ever was. Black Dragons. Black Dragons were created from the gene seed of the Salamanders chapter. There was a mutation that enabled the development of blade-like outgrowths on the head and arms that some black dragons have sharpened and sheathed with adamantium in order to use these outgrowths for melee combat. The level of mutations in black dragons is quite extreme. Apart from having sharpened claws sheathed in adamantium that are referred to as dragon claws, they have black lips and mouths, fang-like teeth, and their tongues taper and end in a sharp point like a dagger. Due to their possibly deliberate genetic tampering, black dragons are situated at the limits of the patience and tolerance of the Inquisition, as well as other chapters like Dark Angels or Marines Malevolent, who have refused to fight alongside black dragons. Still, black dragons have fought in notable campaigns like the Third War for Armageddon, the Indomitus Crusade, and many others. In totality, their unique physiology and combat training, apart from deliberate and guided genetic mutation, mixed with their willpower and tactical ability, make Black Dragons a chapter to be reckoned with. Flesh Terrors. Flesh Terrors are a successor chapter of Blood Angels and are known particularly for their aggressive nature and brutality. for which they have been unsuccessfully investigated by the Inquisition. Flesh Terrors have been likened to fighting like mad butchers, ripping apart their opponent and spreading blood willy-nilly, using chainswords or power swords in combat. The reputation of Flesh Terrors within the Imperium is dicey. Their uncontrollable nature and tendency for excessive violence have led them to having a reputation of being unstable. Even their Blood Angels brethren have mixed feelings towards them. Being a successor to Blood Angels, Flesh Terrors also possess the same genetic flaw as them, i.e. the thirst for blood and the berserk stage of simply uncontrollable rage and violence, regardless of friend or foe. Flesh Terrors have taken part in various campaigns against a wide variety of forces, and have generally left a path of destruction in their wake. Overall, their unbridled aggression, along with their genetic and primarchial heritage, tied with their mastery of close-quarters combat, makes them one of the most brutal, ruthless, and fearsome chapters among all Space Marines. Blood Drinkers. Blood Drinkers are a successor chapter of Blood Angels, having a particular craving for blood as a result of a genetic mutation. Blood Drinkers are great allied fighters and are very open about their consumption of human blood through engaging in various rituals. They experience the same genetic flaws, i.e. the red thirst and black rage, as the Blood Angels and their successors do, but to a much lesser degree because of possibly the rituals, namely Sanguius Excrucio and the Red Tears. Blood Drinkers were found following the Horus Heresy, but they were initially a dying chapter due to new recruits succumbing to Black Rage when fully initiated. This problem was solved with great difficulty by the hero Saint Holos, who overcame great adversity and enemies to finally find a cure for Red Thirst and Black Rage. Since then, Blood Drinkers have experienced a stable equilibrium and have remained dependable defenders of the Imperium. The homeworld of Blood Drinkers, Sanguisaga, is a harsh, feral, and volcanic world that shapes the psyche of Blood Drinkers in general. One of their main notable campaign engagements has been in the battle to reclaim Rin's world from the Orc menace. Overall, Blood Drinkers have a history of solving seemingly insurmountable problems, as well as being very tough opponents in combat. This combination makes them a distinctly revered chapter. Doom Eagles. Doom Eagles are successor chapters of the Ultramarines, who use speed and stealth tactics as their main powers. Doom Eagles have accepted that they are probably going to die in the service of the Emperor. This acceptance gives them the freedom to go to extremes. Personality-wise, they are quite depressing and grim, having a somber and fatalistic demeanor. Doom Eagles have participated in various campaigns against all sorts of enemies such as Chaos Forces, Xenos, and Tyranids. However, they have suffered heavy losses in these battles, reinforcing their fatalistic worldview. Doom Eagles are known for their use of dreadnoughts and are expert proponents of spearhead attack by spamming troops and supporting them with gunships. Doom Eagles are also known to be very collaborative in decision-making and have a very unique style of recruitment. Only those with the mindset that they have absolutely nothing to lose can pass the barrier to becoming a Doom Eagle. This very willingness to go to any length to protect the Imperium is what makes the Doom Eagles a formidable Space Marine chapter. Angels of Absolution. Angels of Absolution are a successor chapter of Dark Angels, but feel no shame due to their ancestral betrayal because they feel that they have earned the Emperor's absolution. They are dedicated to hunting down the Fallen, Dark Angels who turned to chaos during the Horus Heresy and subsequently betrayed the Emperor. While Angels of Absolution feel no shame because of their past and are absolved of their guilt, their fellow chapter of Dark Angels still feel guilt over the Fallen. This is a source of tension between the two chapters. Angels of Absolution have participated in various campaigns either to hunt down fallen angels or other types of enemies. They have participated in several skirmishes as well, like the Siege of Vrax and the 13th Black Crusade, fighting against all sorts of aliens. Even their armor, which is bone white compared to darker tones of related chapters, is indicative of the guilt-free mindset of the Angels of Absolution. Angels of Absolution may not be as popular or prominent as other chapters, but they have a dedicated fanbase due to their disciplined approach to warfare and abundant strategic acumen. Executioners. The Executioners is a successor chapter of Imperial Fists that once rebelled against the Imperium's authority and mistakenly sided with the secessionist cause during the Badab War. Executioners have an unbreakable sense of honor and extreme close combat skills. Some may assume Executioners to be like a mindless barbaric horde, but in reality, Executioners can be quite smart and even cunning. Executioners were judged and punished by the Imperium and ordered to undertake a 100-year-long Pentient crusade. The Executioners' homeworld was given over in trust to the Salamander Chapter, to be returned to them should they endure their 100 years of contrition and survive. Despite their unsophisticated reputation, Executioners adhere strictly to the tenets of the Codex Astartes. They are unafraid of mutual destruction and are capable of enduring almost anything. The right word for Executioners is bellicose, as they are always prepared to start a fight. Executioners also have the interesting habit of picking up memorabilia from notable battles, such as skulls, heads, and enemy weapons. Overall, Executioners are a chapter that are quite capable, as they are specifically primed for long-term combat, but have just found themselves on the wrong side of history and are now paying the price for it. Marvelous verdict! The legacy of these Space Marine chapters is based on the deeds they've accomplished, the challenges they've faced, and the battles they've come out of victoriously. Their overall exploits, trials, and traditions shape their psyche and identity, not to mention their methods of warfare, tactics, as well as their core combat strategy, ultimately affecting their overall standing in this dog-eat-dog universe. The chapters we discussed in this video are only the tip of the iceberg, as there are theoretically more than 1,000 to pick from, and the list will surely change as more is revealed. The more we find out about our beloved Space Marines and their various chapters, the more legendary and iconic they get. That's it for this video, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.
I will see the galaxy freed once more. And if I cannot save it from your failure, Father, then let the galaxy burn.